Hi guys, this is Madison. For our IT final, we had to pick a grade and a subject and then pick a focus on what we wanted to do. So I chose second grade math and I decided to do represent and solve problems involving addition and subtraction. So basically, the summary of my lesson plan, it's intended for second grade students. Obviously, it's for mathematics, and the Common Core standard for mathematics is CCSS.math.2.OA.A.1. Basically, this lesson plan is supposed to help second grade students know how to solve math and or word problems using addition and subtraction skills that involve fun activities while also involving group collaboration and formative assessment in order to overall reach their summative assessment by the end of the lesson. So as far as student collaboration goes, it's basically used to help students with their interpersonal skills, help advance their learning skills, and also help them work together to finish assignments. The goal I have is I want my students to work together during class to work on simple math problems that are given and then also work on those independently. A challenge I noticed was it could be scary to want to work in a group or individually since they are at such a young age, so they tend to want help from a teacher and even have an example up on the board for them to go off of. So I had found that IXL is a fun educational math website that helps students with any math skill that teachers want to teach. There are different skills for any grade, so you have pre-K all the way to even subjects like college algebra. There are also different sections within each grade level. So, for instance, you have Section A, Part 1, which consists of counting and number patterns, and then you have Section B, Part 1, comparing and ordering, and etc. So, how does IXL meet the goal and eliminate the challenge? The students can work together or individually to solve simple math problems in order to complete their assignment. And then it eliminates this challenge because every student would be working on a different math problem, and this also allows them to focus on their own problem rather than the entire class doing the same problem at the same time. So with IXL, you can choose any grade level that you want to focus on. So all you'll do is you click on any skill that you feel your students need more work on. And then by clicking on that skill, different questions will be asked, and the students will then have to type their answer into the box that pops up. So as you can see to the screen here to the right, this is every single skill that a second grader will learn in math. So, say for instance, you're noticing some students are having trouble with addition word problems that sum up to 20. You can tell them to click on go to section E, part 16, and have them click on just this topic, and questions regarding this topic will show, and those will be the ones that they work on. So once you have chosen the skill you want your students to work on, a math problem like this one here will pop up on the screen. So this will require the students to either work the problem out on a piece of paper, or as any teacher, you would want them to possibly work it out in their head. So now once your students have finished a problem like this one, another one will pop up. It will look something like these two screens. This was the first problem, it was answered, and here's the second problem. So if you notice some students getting stuck on a problem, you can tell them to hit this button right here that says work it out, and it just gives them a step-by-step on how to solve the problem. Another thing is you will notice a timer, how many questions that were answered, and your score. This is basically to help the students with knowing how many questions they've been asked, how long they've been on a specific topic, and then how many problems they got right, which will be out of 100. So IXL is used to help with student collaboration. I am mainly focusing on the building foundation for collaboration aspect. So using technology can be difficult for young kids, especially second graders. So when teachers start mentioning working in a group or even individually, students can become stressed out. So I think in my lesson plan, IXL helps students first work by themselves, and then when they can't seem to get the problem right after multiple times, if they feel comfortable enough, they can ask another student at their table to help them solve the problem. In my lesson plan, students will be using computers provided by the school that allows them to first work independently and then, if needed, work together. Now, as far as formative assessment goes, it's a way for both teachers and students to check in with one another to see if they're on track with the assignment, uh, but falling behind, following along with the material or not, or even needing some more time before moving on to a different lesson. So my goal is I want to be able to see where my students are at in their learning, but I've noticed that it can be difficult to track every single student's progress. So I have found that Formative is a helpful educational technology system that allows the teacher to check and evaluate each student's progress as they go through each lesson plan, and the material that's within that lesson plan. So how did Formative meet the goal and eliminate the challenge? It allowed the teacher to do multiple things at once in order to check where the students are at and find out if the students are understanding the material or not. As far as the challenge goes, it eliminates the challenge because it allows the teacher to track every student and follow along with their progress. So tracking your students has become very easy with the help of Formative. Formative allows you to add all of your students into separate classes, as you can see to the screen on the right. Another thing is you can also add in homework, quizzes, tests, etc. to have the students complete. So you are then able to make any kind of assessment that you want your students to do. All you have to do is create a new formative and then type your question. And it also gives you different ways to create that question. So it can either be multiple choice, short answer, etc. So I went ahead and created an assessment, as you can see here, for my second graders to check if they are understanding the math concepts that are being asked in my lesson plan. Also, Formative allows the teacher to review all the students' responses to the assessment that was made for them to complete, and the teacher has access to see what questions they got right and wrong. This is a great tool for my lesson plan so I can see where my second graders are at with representing and solving operations and algebraic problems involving addition and subtraction. With the tracker feature, the teacher can view student scores or progress they've made. So as you can see to the screen on the right, this is the uh, way I can track two of my students. So basically, in order to see this screen, all you do is hit the reports tab and this will pop up. You're also able to see the class average, which comes in handy a lot so you can see where the class is as a whole. And this technology makes it easier to get an idea of where each student is with their learning and also where the entire class is as well. Lastly, summative assessment is basically meant to be the last step to see whether your students understand the lesson plan that was shown to them. So my goal is I can assess the students' final understanding of solving algebraic problems with operations that involve addition and subtraction. But I've noticed that it can be very overwhelming for students at this age and it can cause anxiety. So I found that Kahoot is a great way for teachers to use as summative assessments. It's used in many different ways in classes, but one of the things that teachers can do is set up trivia games on specific topics, or in our case, use it as a form of assessment. So how does Kahoot achieve the goal and eliminate the challenge? This assesses the student's understanding of the material by making it into a fun quiz, and the test or quiz that students do through Kahoot is an interactive way to show how well the students have understood the lesson that was being asked. As far as the challenge goes, Kahoot takes away the part of having the students feel overwhelmed of summative assessments, since you are letting your students be quizzed in a fun, interactive way. Since Kahoot is in the form of a game, it still needs to be treated like a test or a quiz, but it shouldn't make your students feel like if they get a question right or wrong, they're going to pass or fail. So Kahoot helps evaluate students' understanding with the feature that shows the questions that the students got wrong, basically the difficult ones, and what the whole class might need more help with. It also shows each player's score and the percentage that the class got. Kahoot also allows the teacher to see how well the students did while the assignment is open. So as you can see here to the right, you can see that Allie finished the quiz that was assigned and she scored 75%. Kahoot also allows the teacher to see which question or questions the students didn't answer or left blank, as you can see here. Lastly, it shows what Allie's final score was. Kahoot also shows us to see each question separately, which is an easy way to see how well that question was for the entire class, and it also lets you see which ones were difficult and need to be focused on more. Kahoot also has many different choices on how you make the assessment. This is a great way. This is mainly made for what you like and what you think your students may like. So as you can see to the screen to the bottom right, you are given many different choices when wanting to ask a question. You can either do multiple choice, true, false, short answer, etc. One thing about Kahoot is it is a free website, but there are some things that you do have to pay for. But as far as teachers go, using the free options that are given is really the best way to use Kahoot. Lastly, Kahoot allows you to choose how your students have to answer the questions. So with this being an assessment, you may want to give your students a little bit more time to answer the questions so you can make sure they get them right. For your students to have access to the Kahoot, all you do is once you created it, all you do is hit play, and a screen like this one will pop up with a pin that will require the students to enter in order to play. Since students will be playing on computers that are provided by the school, uh, this you this is you'll have to make sure, like you mentioned, the website and everything, since the students are second graders. Lastly, in my lesson plan, the students will take the Kahoot as the last step to show me that they can solve both addition and subtraction problems using the operations given and their algebraic thinking. Also, students will not only love this game, but also find it to be very interactive. Since they are such a young age, they generally don't know that they're being assessed, which in turn makes them feel less overwhelmed, but in the end will bring out the best results. Thank you for watching my presentation and listening to my final.